So the US Second Amendment is the right to bear arms. Just recently watching some footage that a friend shot in the US on the right to bear arms, and so right above a firearms store, it's democracy locked and loaded. and that's the way you ensure that you don't have totalitarian regimes, that people are armed, and if they're pissed off enough, then they simply take their arms and they retake control by force. So if we look back to this declaration that code making, providing secret cryptographic codes that the government couldn't spy on, was in fact a munition, and this big war that we fought in the 1990s to try and make cryptography available to everyone, which we largely won, actually.
In the West?
Yeah, in the West, which we largely won, and it's in every browser, now perhaps being backdoored in different kinds and subverted in different kinds of ways. That this notion of you cannot trust a government to implement the policies that it says that it's implementing, and so we must provide the underlying tools, cryptographic tools that we control, as a sort of use of force, in that a government, no matter how hard it tries, if the ciphers are good, cannot break into your communications directly. Maybe can put a bug in your house or whatever.
The force of authority is derived from violence. One must acknowledge with cryptography, no amount of violence will ever solve a math problem.
Exactly.
And this is the important key. It doesn't mean you can't be tortured. It doesn't mean that they can't try to bug your house or subvert it in some way, but it means if they find an encrypted message, it doesn't matter if they have the force of the authority behind everything that they do. They cannot solve that math problem. And this is a thing, though, that is totally non-obvious to people that are non-technical, and it has to be driven home. If we could solve all of those math problems, it would be a different story. And, of course, the government will be able to solve those math problems if anyone could. But that's the difference, right? It's actually a thing that changes it.
It's just a fact that it just happens to be a fact about reality, such like that you could build atomic bombs, that there are math problems that you can create that even the strongest state cannot directly break. And I think that was tremendously appealing to Californian libertarians and others who believed in this sort of democracy locked and loaded. And here was a very intellectual way of doing it, of a couple of individuals with cryptography standing up to the full power of the strongest superpower in the world. And we're still doing that a little bit, but I have a view that the likely outcome is that those are really tremendously big economic forces and tremendously big political forces, like Jeremy was saying, and that the natural efficiencies of these technologies compared to the number of human beings will mean that slowly we will end up into a global totalitarian surveillance society. By totalitarian, I mean a total surveillance, and that perhaps there will just be the last free living people. And these last free living people are those people who understand how to use this cryptography to defend against this complete, total surveillance.